Space Jam is a classic film, and quite possibly one of the greatest family films of all time. The film was a financial success too, ranking in $250 million at the box office. The combination of both Looney Tunes and Michael Jordan not only made for an amazing plot, but gave Warner Brothers one of the freest licenses to print money in the history of merchandising. One of these pieces of merchandise happened to be a video game, developed by Acclaim and released for the Sega Saturn, PS1, and MS-DOS in 1996. All three versions of the game are similar, but I'm going to focus on the Saturn version primarily in this video, whilst also talking a little bit about the PS1 version. Without further ado, let's get into Space Jam the video game. Once you load into the game, you're given the option to play one match, go to the options, or enter the Intergalactic Tournament. From the options menu, you can change the period length, as well as toggle player substitutions, the announcer, and goaltending. I recommend turning the announcer off, because he talks most of the game and gets very annoying.
MJ for three! From way downtown. Toon Squad up by 2.
You can also change the game between 3-on-3 and 2-on-2, but I recommend playing in 3-on-3 since the extra player makes the game more hectic and fun. The gameplay is quite similar to NBA Jam, with the passing and shooting working similar and having a turbo button to run. The shooting works differently than in most basketball games though, where in most basketball games you want to shoot at the apex of your jump for max accuracy, but here you want to shoot pretty much immediately after you leave the ground. Whether you select the Toon Squad or the Monstars, you have a wide variety of characters with very detailed and good looking sprites. Some of the characters though just have better stats than other characters, and Michael Jordan has the best stats in the game. Basketball isn't all you do however, there's a series of mini games you can play between periods to give you bonuses. After periods 1 and 3, you're given the option between one of 3 mini games: Shootout, where you need to shoot more baskets than the other player, Hall of Hijinks, where you need to pass the ball into targets, and Space Race, where you need to fly your spaceship around an obstacle course faster than your opponent. Each of these mini games grants a stat buff in one of the categories. Shootout buffs shooting, Hall of Hijinks buffs rebounds, and Space Race buffs speed. If you have Michael Jordan on your team, you get to play a special minigame before the round begins. In the minigame, you collect parts of Michael Jordan's uniform, and depending on how many you collect, will determine how powerful Michael Jordan is during the match. At halftime, you'll get a locker room minigame, which is different depending on whether or not you're playing as the Toon Squad or the Monstars. As the Toon Squad, you need to collect Michael Jordan's water, and as the Monstars, you need to steal Michael Jordan's essence. Both of these minigames will result in general stat buffs for your entire team. Now seems like a good time to talk about the graphics. Like mentioned before, the sprites are high quality and very nice. The background on the court is also very nice, being filled with different Looney Tunes characters. The gameplay is very solid. The shooting accuracy is very predictable, and the visuals and sound effects make making baskets satisfying. Now it's time to talk about the Intergalactic Tournament. In the Intergalactic Tournament, you need to win 5 games in a row without losing. You'll select a team captain who you'll use for the entire tournament. The other players on your team, however, after each game you cannot use them in another game in the tournament. This is where a lot of strategy comes in, because like stated before, some characters are just worse than others. That's all the content there is in the game. The Intergalactic Tournament should only take about an hour to complete. That, combined with the fact that there are only 2 teams, and the gameplay will get repetitive quite quickly. What's there is fun though. It's well designed and unique, and would definitely be fun in multiplayer. I would recommend the Saturn version as the better version though, as the PlayStation version has the tendency to drop inputs. I'm not sure if it's an issue with my controller or DuckStation, or if it was just present in the original game, but either way I'd recommend the Saturn version. I'd recommend using Beetle Saturn, because that emulator gave me the least amount of headaches, and I would not recommend Mednafen, because that emulator gave me the most amount of headaches. So, because if it's plugged in, I try to launch the game, it just kicks me to the BIOS, but if my controller's unplugged, it launches perfectly fine. This is stupid. You might have better luck with the PlayStation version than I did, but my experience with it was generally worse than the Saturn version. I have not played the DOS version, so if you are to try that version, do so at your own risk. In conclusion, I think Space Jam the video game is pretty good. It may not have as much content as other basketball games, but the gameplay is solid and it has enough unique mechanics to keep you engaged. I'd recommend giving it a shot, even if it is just for a laugh with friends. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. If you liked it, please consider subscribing since we're almost at 50 subscribers. If you have any more insight on Space Jam the video game, or just general feedback on the video, leave it in the comments below. And with that comes the end of the video. If you liked the video, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.